You call yourself a man? You know you're a lying, low-life, motherfucking gambling degenerate prick. You know that's what you are?
Well, hello, you degenerate fucks, and welcome to the Degenerate Gambler. It is uh, Thursday, the 27th of October. Just back with another episode. Have a quick look back at last week and give my predictions for this week's bets. So last week I did manage to get a bet up on Sunday. A couple of other bets were close, but you know that bet on Sunday was actually. I always say it. Use your free spins, play your free games, because it'll keep your costs down. And what I was able to do with that was some money that I won. I think on William Hill it was free spins on Virgin Bet, on Live Score Bet it was playing squads, and I think I had some change in there from free spins too. But I just let it gather up, and then I think altogether the bet that I won on Sunday was something like £6 or £7, maybe it was around about £8 and change, across three different bookmakers. So it was a free bet to me, but it ended up winning, and you know that's why I always say use your free spins, play your free games. Some are, I've done posts about it in the past. Some games are a lot harder to win. Things like Super Six really hard to win. Beat the drop, stuff like that, pretty hard to win. But ones like squads, also one I haven't posted about before because it's only just recently started is on Bet365. They have a prediction, a score prediction. I haven't got any up on that yet. I think it's three. If you get three correct, you get a fiver. But what they do have is like a goals galore, I think they're calling it, or something like that, where you pick a game. It gives you a random game every day, Monday to Friday, and then if those games have four or more goals, for four goals you get 50p. More than four, you get £1. And then if you get 20 overall, you get another fiver. So the maximum I think from it's a tenner. And I've got 750. I've got 250 last week. I think I've got 750 a couple of times. But again, another game that's free that you've a decent chance of getting some money back, to use on other bets. So like I say, there's a paid off for me last week where a free bet, well, some free bets and free spins and stuff, free money basically was able to get me a winner. But I'll get that in a minute. So the main bet, um, one team beat it. So Blackburn won, Scarborough won, Swindon won, Ebbsfleet won, and Mansfield. Mansfield were two down and back to two each. They've conceded very very early in the first half. Got it back to two each at half time, and then come out at the start of the second half and fucking concede basically in the 46th, 47th minute. So, once it already done one comeback, I wasn't fancying that, but that was the only thing that beat it. In the overs, I think two beat it. Plymouth and Bristol Rovers, I think, was up. Peterborough and Oxford was up. Grimsby, Bradford, no, was beat. Bournemouth, Wrexham was beat, and sorry, three beat it because Salzburg and Sturm Graz was nil each, which was strange. But that was Saturday, 3 o'clock. I did an early bet, and the only thing that beat it was Liverpool -1. Obviously, they were beat by Forest. To be honest, watching that game, you could tell after about 10, 15 minutes that it wasn't going to be good for Liverpool. You could tell they weren't playing well. In that game, though, if you're thinking the way Liverpool's form's been away from home, a good bet in that game would either been Forest to score first or uh, Liverpool not to keep a clean sheet, and you probably would have got decent odds. Maybe not as good as what 8 to 11 it was for -1, but you know. So I say that was Saturday, sort of up till 3 o'clock. The evening bet wasn't great. I had Turkey and Altrincham over two. It was up. Valencia, they were beat 2-1. Madrid over twos was up. Marseille Lens won 1-0. That was beat. I had both to score in the Ajax game, and that was up. So then that went on to Sunday. Sunday's main bet was actually pretty unlucky. I had Ludogorets who won, both to score in the Lille match. I had Betis versus Atletico Madrid over 1.5. Barca to win. Malmo over 2.5. And the one that beat it was Lillestrøm, also in the Norwegian league. And that game was 1-0 to Lillestrøm at half time, but the other team had missed a penalty. So as I said to I think Trojan on Twitter, if that game's one each getting into half time, there's a fair chance that Lillestrøm either push on for the win or but I just think that game ends 2-1 or 3-1. I don't think it ends the way it was. So second half Lillestrøm are 1-0 up. They have something to hold on to. Um, so that's the way it finished. So bit of bad luck there. Decent bet. Obviously the one that it obviously was just talking about there that it did win was an eightfold over over 1.5s. It won around I think 82, 84 pounds, something like that. It was a decent win for obviously for a free bet. But also on that as a look, because sometimes on a Sunday, if I do have change or I have a free bet, I'll do those big over 1.5s. But when I look through the fixtures, you almost couldn't miss. Sometimes I'll do 10 or even 12. But because it was a bigger stake, I stuck with 8. I was happy with that. But I think now I wish I probably had done a couple more because you couldn't have really missed. There was a lot of games over 1.5. Both the championship games, I think nearly all the Premier League games. I'm not sure about that, but there was games that you would have fancied that were decently priced. 'Cause sometimes, 1 to 5, 1 to 6, I wouldn't bet those, but round 1 to 3, 2 to 5, there was other games there that you could have picked. So I may have done myself out of a bit of money there, but listen, I'm not going to complain. It was an 84 or 80, whatever, £3 win. Plus I had the small win on Monday from a free bet, which was 60 something pounds. So it made a profitable week for me. So I was happy enough with that. Now I'll quickly go through the favourites on the over 2.5s. It was a better week than I thought, to be honest with you. Yeah, so the favourites, let's see, Premier League, there was 10 games at the weekend. Four favourites, two draws, six outsiders in the Premier League, which is not great. Um, the rest of these leagues all have 12. So in the Championship, five favourites, two draws, five outsiders. In League One, seven favourites, two draws, three outsiders. In League Two, four favourites, five draws, and three outsiders. And in the National League, nine favourites, two draws, and one outsider. What I'll say about that is, the Premier League and the Championship both had a lot of outsiders winning. League Two had a lot of draws, but somehow in total that worked out at 29 favourites, 13 draws, and 18 outsiders out of 56 games, which was about 51%. So that number is decent. That's roughly where, like I always say, 50 to 60%. But when you look at some of those numbers, like four favourites, five favourites, and four favourites, that was Premier League, Championship, and League Two. That's difficult. I think there what saved that is 9 of 12 in the National League, which again, who knows what, I haven't got all the prices in front of me, but I'm sure there was teams in there that were 1 to 3, 1 to 4. So, although 9 favourites won, how many of them were backable? But as I say, in total, 51% of favourites won, which is a decent number. In the overs, again, it was actually better than I thought, given that I had two beat and whatever. But so Premier League 10, 6 were over, 4 not. And the rest of these leagues obviously all 12. 8 in the Championship, 4 not. 4 in League 1, 8 not. 5 in League 2, 7 not. 9 in League or National League, and 3 not. So again, you've got some low ones there. You've got a 4 and a 5 out of 12, which is obviously less than 50%. But Premier League was over, Championship was way over, and National League again way over. So in total, that was 32 games that were over 2.5 and 26 games that were not. And again, out of 56 games, which works out at 57%, which is extremely high. I mean, that's where you want it. 57%, we're pushing towards that 60% mark, which is where, if it's at 60%, a lot of people got bets up. So yeah, but again, kind of 3 leagues out of the 5 kind of, were the leagues to bet in. nice. I mean, the National League, for example, had 9 games over. I had Bournemouth and Wrexham, which finished one each. Do you know what I mean? So that was one of the three that wasn't. So, there is obviously a padlock in there, and the statistics can only say so much, but they are a bit of an indication of how things are going. So that was last week. As I say, look, not going to complain. Sunday saved the day. Um, Happy enough to get that win. I know some people were on it, so I always like to hear that too. But let's look ahead to this week. This week's bet, I'll run through it quickly. I'm going to start doing it this way. I'm going to run through the teams, and then I'll come back and talk about each of them. So the 5 games are Burnley at home to Reading, Sheffield Wednesday at home to Burton, Peterborough at home to Cambridge, Stevenage away to Colchester, and Darlington at home to Leamington. So that's the 5 games. In total, it's 13-1. So Tanner's going to pay about 140. And I'll just go back and have a look at them. So Burnley, going along quietly. Um, they're actually top of the championship after winning on Tuesday night. Obviously, there's other teams to play, so they might not be top at the weekend. But excuse me, in form, 13 points out of 15, so they're top of the form table. Reading currently 19th in form, only 4 points. Burnley's home form, not the best in the league. They're actually fifth, 16 points in 8 games. Reading's away form, not great. They're 21st, only 6 points away from home in 7 games. And then let's look at the last 5. So Burnley have won 4 of their last 5 games. That's, home and away. The one, including the last 2, where they beat Norwich and Sunderland. 2 hard games. Norwich been in poor form, but they're a good side. Whereas Reading only have 1 win, which was their last game against Bristol City, and 3 defeats and a draw in their last 5. Burnley's last 5 at home is the same: 2 wins, a draw, and 2 defeats. Reading have 1 win and 2 wins and 3 defeats in their last 5 away, including losing the last 2. So, again, Burnley sneaking along under the radar, got themselves to top of the league, and I hope their form continues. So they are 4-7, which is 1.57 in decimal. Oh, I've just lost my page in my book. Yeah, so they are 4-7, which is 1.57. So decent price, I think, for a team that's, top of the league. Next, on to Sheffield Wednesday. Sheffield Wednesday are home to Burton, as I said. They're 9-20, which is just under 1-2, which is 1.45. In the league, they're third, 8 points off the leaders Plymouth. Burton are in the bottom 4. They're second from bottom. Form, Sheffield Wednesday again fourth, 10 points from 15. Burton not bad, 5 points out of 15, which is for a team that's the bottom of the league isn't bad. But in home form, Sheffield Wednesday 14 points. They're sixth in the home table, and Burton are 22nd in the away table. They're only 3 points away from home all season. In the last 5 games, Sheffield Wednesday drew their last game, won 3 before that, and then lost the one before that, although that was against Plymouth, who are obviously top of the league. Burton's form not too bad. They lost their last game against Bolton. They won 2 before that. They drew 2 before that. In home form, though, Sheffield Wednesday win their last 3 at home, and a loss and a draw before that. Burton's away form, only 1 win. 2 wins, but they were in their last 3, they've 2 losses and a defeat away from home, and then they won the 2 before that. So their last 3 form isn't great. That's sort of my thinking between that one on the home advantage. Next, as I said, was Peterborough at home to Cambridge. The price on that one's 8-15, which is 1.53. Looking at the table, Peterborough 4th, Cambridge 16th. Cambridge did hammer fucking Wickham there on Tuesday night, which was one of the teams that beat my bet. In the form, Peterborough had a wee bit of a lull there. They were bad, but their home form's been good all season. But in the form table, they're 10 points from 15, which is pretty good. and Cambridge only got 3 points, which was those 3 points they got last night. Or sorry, on Tuesday night. Home form, as I said, Peterborough second in the league, 19 points from 8 games. And Cambridge's away form is 7 points from 8 games. They're down there in like 17th or so. Um, Looking at the last five, so as I said, Peterborough did have a bit of a lull, but in the last five, they've got a draw, a loss, and 3 wins, including winning their last two home and away. Um, Cambridge have 3 defeats and 2 wins in the last five. One at home, one away. They did win their last game, as I said, on Tuesday night, which was away to Wickham, which was obviously a big result for them. Um, but their away record is not great. They have 1 win, 2 defeats, and 2 wins all season away from home. And Peterborough's home record is 4 wins and 1 draw away from home. So yeah, again, I'm just looking at home form there. Peterborough second best home record in the league. Next is Stevenage. Now Stevenage were on a great run. They did lose a game there recently, and then the one there on Tuesday night. They're currently second in the league, playing Colchester, who are second bottom. In the form, Stevenage 10 points from 15. Colchester only 4 points. Away from home, Stevenage decent away record, fifth in the league, 14 points from 8 games. And Colchester's home form is 18th, only 9 points from those 8 games. So decent, but not great. And then let's look at the last five. So Colchester only have 1 win in the last five, which was 5 games ago against Harrogate. They then had a draw, 2 defeats, and another draw at home to Colchester. That was their last game. Stevenage's away record, not perfect. They've got 3 wins, a draw, and a defeat. They did win their last game away from home against Doncaster 1-0. So that one I'm just sort of looking at, top of the table versus bottom of the table. Yes, they're away from home, but Colchester's home form, as I said, isn't great. Price on that one is 23-20, which is 2.15. So decent price on that one. Given that they're away from home, that's where that price probably comes from. But the fact that they're top of the league is making me, well, they're second, but that's making me confident that they can get the result. Then lastly, I'm going into the National League North, and it's Darlington. Darlington currently second in the National League North, playing Leamington, who are 11th, so decent. In form, Darlington's form hasn't been great, 7 points out of 15. Leamington only 5 points. But Darlington's home form all season, second in the league, 7 games, 16 points. So that's pretty good. And Leamington's away form is 20th. So they're getting most of their points at home. And so are Darlington, and it's Darlington's home game. So say Leamington only got 4 points away from home all season in 6 games. Looking at the last five, so Darlington's have lost their last 2 games, both away from home. Have 1 win in 5, which again is concerning. 1 draw, 3 defeats, including losing their last 2, but they were both away from home. Leamington have 1 win, 2 defeats, and 2 draws. They did win their last game at home against the AFC Fylde. But when you go into Darlington's home record, they drew their last game against Brackley, who are a decent side, and they won the 4 before that, all at home. Leamington's away record, no win in the last 5 away from home. So they lost their last game away from home against Chorley, and they drew the one before that, lost the one before that, and drew the 2 before that. So no win in 5. So this is the perfect case of home versus away. A good home side versus a not so good away side. And price on that one is 10-11, which is 1.9 in decimal. So as I said, that one comes to about 13 or so to 1, which obviously with a tenner on, it's going to pay about 140. So that is the main bet. Next, I'll go on to my overs. And you know what? Overs, I'm at the point now where I may decide to change up a bit because I don't think I've got an outright overs bet, like a overs, total overs bet up all season. And if you go back even to my earlier episodes 2-3 years ago, overs was my thing. Overs was what I was good at. I don't know now, is it because I'm I'm looking at certain games on, I fancy them, but the price is terrible. So you're making these riskier selections, but I still make my selections the same way based on the current form. So I don't know. I don't know what to do about this overs bet. I'll continue with it for another couple of weeks and see how I go. I've had a few close, but I always seem to get a 0-0 in there every week, which fucks up your sweat. I have had a few sweats where I've been down to one goal with maybe 15, 20 minutes to go, but those have been few and far between. So anyway, I'll run through this week. So Newcastle versus Villa, which is even money, 2.0 in decimal. Coventry versus Blackpool, 11 to 10, that's 2.1. Bolton Oxford, even money, 2.0. Dagenham and Redbridge versus Wealdstone, 4 to 5, that's 1.8. And Chelmsford versus Eastbourne Borough at 13 to 20, which is 1.65. So in total, that's about 28 to 1. So it's paying over 100 for the fiver. But as I say, uh, you know, uh, I'm never as confident now with my overs. I'm making the selections the same way, but I'm just always recently had these 0-0s or these games with low scoring, and it's maybe put me off a bit. But anyway, that's the bet. Looking at next midweek before I let you go. Decent week of football, some Champions League, some Europa League stuff like that, but not the biggest amount of games. So on Tuesday there is 6 championship games, 4 in League One, 2 in League Two. There's a full fixture list in the National League. There's 11 games actually. Well, near enough full. And then National League North 9 games, National League South 9 games. There's a couple of games in the EFL Trophy. There is 8 Champions League games and 4 Northern Ireland Premier League games, which I've been avoiding this year. That Northern Ireland Premier League has been terrible this year for results, for overs and stuff. But let's look at the Champions League games. What games are on Tuesday? So we're getting towards the edge of the group stage. I think this might be the last games. Liverpool Napoli be a decent game. Bayern versus Inter. Marseille Spurs, Rangers Ajax. Decent games there. Wednesday, there's only six again in the Championship. National League South, one game in the EFL Trophy, and 8 in the Champions League. Looking at games, Real Madrid Celtic is on Wednesday. Man City Seville, nah, not the best game. AC Milan Salzburg, not the best of games in that night, to be honest with you. And then Thursday, as we know, is 16 Europa League and 16 Europa Conference. So that is next midweek. That will be the end of the group stage of the Champions League. We'll be into November by then. There's only two game weeks, I think, in November. Not sure about the midweeks, but there's 2 Premier League game weeks before the break off for the World Cup. Obviously, this season's strange compared to any other season because of the World Cup being the way it is in the middle of the season. But I'll be doing the World Cup the way I normally do. I don't know how I'm going to structure the episodes yet because of the games are basically every day. But yeah, so we'll see what happens when we get to that. But say November and December are both short months for local football, if you want to call it that, sort of club football. But there's going to be football on, so there's enough to gamble on. So we'll be happy anyway. But yeah, that's basically it for today. Just leaves me to say, if you are doing a bet, good luck and happy punt.
Here, get the fuck out of here. Yeah, thanks. Let me find out you fucked up. I'll leave you wherever I find you.